Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. The impetus for this video came up as a result of a couple of things, actually multiple correspondence, but it kind of distilled down to two things. This first one came from Richard Barrow in Thailand. This is on this Facebook page. Someone sent me this. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. Quoting directly, a heads up for people going to immigration at Chiang Watana. They are now asking for proof of vaccination. The sign says in Thai, left for unvaccinated, right for fully vaccinated. If you cannot show proof, then you need to fill out a form. Now, the first thing is, a lot of people I've seen have conflated this with this being a requirement to have a vaccination to get, for example, an extension. No, in point of fact, that is not a requirement associated with getting, for example, a visa extension or doing whatever business you're going to do down at the immigration office. 90-day reporting, for example, TM30, residence certificate, whatever. However, they've foisted this new requirement on everyone. And I always find it interesting when I've seen this a lot dealing with bureaucracy, especially I've seen it happen from time to time with the American bureaucratic system, especially the immigration system, where, this kind of false, I was about to call it a false choice, and in a sense it is, but because it's imposed as an either-or dichotomy kind of thing, it's sort of, I don't know how to say it exactly, but it's sort of put out there as if it's not that bad because it can go either way. You have the choice, but when someone imposes two bad choices on you, it's not really that great a thing. And just as another, for example, we'll put this up. Someone sent me this. This was a tweet, and this came from @ArthurIsTheBoy. A ball of confusion is the byline, but the tweet was, Copenhagen Immigration is now asking this morning for proof of vaccination for 90-day reports and 60-day COVID extension. If no proof, no 60-day COVID extension. Still unclear what they intend to do if on valid one-year extension of stay for retirement, marriage, but not vaccinated. Now, this turns out to be somewhat erroneous on its face because the original poster goes on to say, apparently different IMs, that's immigration offices, can set their own rules. I should have mentioned that KP, Copenhagen Immigration, is asking for a COVID test or proof of vaccine. So it's a COVID test or proof of vaccine. Still, either way, this will be fun. Imagine getting a positive test, but asymptomatic and having to go into temple quarantine here. So the reason for this video is it's a couple of reasons. One, or 1A, however you want to look at it, what happened to medical privacy? I mean, that's my big question in all of this. When in the past have we ever seen this? And let me be clear, this is going on in an American context. I am not just pointing out the ties, but it seems like governments around the world are, in my opinion, getting pretty grabby with the old power when it comes to, medical privacy, basic medical privacy. I mean, I've never heard of a situation where, and to be clear, no one's keeping anyone out. They're just now delineating folks that have been vaccinated versus unvaccinated to get in, which begs the question, why? Is this for a further policy change down the road where you can only get in if you have certain qualifications? Okay, but meanwhile, move back a notch. I know people are aware of my stance on so-called COVID passes, which is ardently against them for a number of different reasons. And to be clear, and I've gone through this in other videos, and I don't even like, adding this as a preamble or as sort of a pretext to what I have to say, but I'm not anti-vaccination. In fact, vaccine technology is one of the modern marvels of the world, and I'm sure there's millions of people walking the earth today who otherwise wouldn't be if we didn't have this technology. I'm in favor of that. What I don't like is, one, it being imposed upon people. Two, I also don't like tracking apps and tracking people, via this type of technology. And I also don't like a papers, please kind of world anywhere. This would be in America, this would be Europe, wherever. You know, this notion of papers, please. I was watching Casablanca the other night, and there's a scene where it's right at the beginning of the movie, and they say, "Papers, please, sir," and, "Oh, these papers are expired," and he runs off, and then they shoot him. You know, I mean, it's not a society, the papers, please society ain't a great place to live. We've seen this from posterity, you know, and this seems to be the way things are going. So setting that aside, though, again, what about medical privacy? What if people were asked if they've ever had an STD, you know, or if they've been vaccinated against an STD before being able to go into a given place? Would we be in favor of that? And I get it. It's apples and bowling balls. I'm not getting into the medical side of this. You know, STDs are different from, you know, pandemics and things. But at the same time, I was talking about it with a friend, you know, tuberculosis isn't treated this way. You know, they don't yeah, and let's be clear, in a U.S. immigration context, tuberculosis is a major issue. If you've been previously infected, and we've done videos on this, it results in increased documentation, increased processing time to go ahead and have the civil surgeon sign off on somebody as being medically fit to enter the United States. So there have been doctrines and policies put in place, for example, with tuberculosis, but not like this, where people are required before just going in the door of a public place to have to sign documentation as to, you know, where they are, sort of what their stature, posture is medically. You know, there's a notion of legal posture, for example, standing to sue in a case, for example. But now we have to disclose our medical posture before being able to enter public places. Do we really want to be living in that kind of world? You know, long story short, when I heard about this stuff, I found it really concerning. Again, not for some of the reasons that I think people think I find it concerning, but just for the, you know, again, medical privacy and just the notion of being able to go where you need to go or where you want to go without having to be asked for papers. I find that very disturbing, especially in public places. You know, we're talking about public forums. You know, so long story short, that's kind of where things sit. Now, understand as sort of a postscript to this whole thing. Look, immigration, which is where the Richard Barrow thing I put up earlier, you know, we're talking about foreign nationals here, and non-immigrants, you know, as we've gone over in other videos, they only have status up to the end of their visa. And quite frankly, their rights, such as they are in Thailand, are quite truncated. So understand that. I'm not making this video to make a bunch of waves and cause people to sort of become agitated or angry or something at the government. It's more a video I'm hoping to get people thinking about where this seems to be drifting. And I'm not one of these people that believes there's people twisting their mustaches, aiming for some ultimate goal. No, I've found that in most cases, these things kind of just drift that way of their own momentum, and it just sort of ends up in a place where you don't want to be. That's what I'm hoping to forestall by making a video such as this one.